Have you ever felt lonely, even in a crowded room? Have you ever shared your thoughts only to feel like no one really understands you? The feeling of loneliness is not about being physically alone. It's about not being seen, not being understood. And here's the surprising part. The only way to truly be seen is by yourself. Hi beautiful souls, welcome back to my channel. I'm Shirley and I'm so happy to have you here with me again. In my last video, we talked about loneliness, humanity's biggest enemy. I shared a personal story about my experience with loneliness during Christmas, along with a unique perspective on how we understand and experience loneliness. If you haven't seen that video yet, make sure to check it out. Today we're taking it one step further. If loneliness is something we all experience, then the real question is, how do we learn to enjoy being alone? How do we turn solitude from something painful into something powerful? How do we embrace being by ourselves without feeling lost or overwhelmed? So let's get started. Why do we avoid being alone? Because silence has a way of unlocking the floodgates. Think about it. What's the first thing you do when you find yourself alone? Do you grab your phone, scroll through social media, call a friend? Most of us do. We crave external noise to drown out the internal chaos. Because the moment you sit in silence, your mind opens up. Thoughts you've buried, emotions you've suppressed, unresolved questions, they all rush in, demanding your attention. And it's overwhelming. It feels like a battle against your own thoughts. But here's the truth. Solitude isn't a battle, it's an embrace. Your thoughts, emotions, and even your darkest shadows aren't your enemies. They are just waiting to be seen and acknowledged. So, how do you start this process of self-conversation? The first step is to allow everything to surface. You don't need to fix anything. You don't need to solve every problem. Just sit there and let the emotions flow. Feel anxious? Sit with it. Feel sad? Allow it. The more you resist your emotions, the more they control you. But when you accept them, they lose their power. Why do we feel lonely? At its core, loneliness isn't about being physically alone. It's the feeling that our true selves, our thoughts, emotions, and ideas haven't been seen, understood, or accepted. But here's the twist. It's not that others haven't accepted you. It's that you haven't accepted yourself. And I know this because I've been there. There have been times when I felt incredibly lonely, not because I don't have people around me, but because I believed no one could truly understand me. I tend to ask questions that many people avoid, questions that dig beneath the surface. What is the essence of being human? Why do we exist? What makes us who we are? These thoughts shape the way I perceive the world, and they've always been part of me. But people don't seem to grasp my thoughts the way I hope they would. They don't understand why I'm drawn to those questions, and they would suggest me to focus on more practical things, like money, jobs, and everyday matters. And that made me feel weird. I started to doubt myself. Am I too different, too strange? Why do I think this way when no one else does? I feel like an outsider, like I didn't fit in. But over time, I realized something important. The problem wasn't that others didn't understand me. The problem was that I hadn't accepted my own uniqueness. I hadn't accepted the fact that I think differently, that my ideas and thoughts don't always align with the norm, that I see the world through my own unique lens. And when you do that, you won't always be understood, and that's okay. In fact, That's what makes me me, because you're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to understand yourself, and seeing things differently isn't a flaw, it's a strength. The world is shaped by those who question, who see beyond the obvious, who dare to challenge the norm. The loneliness wasn't coming from outside, it was coming from the parts of me I hadn't yet accepted. And when I finally accepted those parts, I felt whole, complete. And here's what I've realized. The parts of us that we think makes us weird or different are often the very things that makes us special. It's not about fitting in, it's about standing true to who you are, and solitude is the journey that brings you back to yourself. As the poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "The only journey is the one within." Solitude isn't easy, it's a journey. And like any journey, it unfolds in phases. Here are the 3 phases you'll experience in solitude, each guiding you towards a deeper understanding of yourself. Phase 1, the restlessness. At first, you'll feel agitated. Your mind will scream at you to do something, anything, to fill the silence. But if you stay with it, if you resist the urge to escape, you'll move to the next phase, the storm. This is where it gets difficult. All the thoughts you've buried, the emotions you've suppressed, the unresolved questions, they all come rushing in like a storm. It feels chaotic, overwhelming, and relentless. But here's the key: you don't need to do anything. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to solve anything. All you need to do is allow it to happen. Think of yourself as standing in a river during a storm. The current is powerful, and the more you resist it, the more exhausted you'll become. But if you let go, if you stop fighting the current, you'll be carried by the flow of water. Go with the current. Go with the flow. Go with the nature. Let the storm take its course. Let the waves rise and fall. Because storms are temporary, you don't need to fix anything. You don't need to solve every problem. All you need to do is see, witness your emotions, observe your thoughts, like clouds passing through the sky. Let them drift. Some will be dark and heavy, others will be light and fleeting. But none of them are permanent. They will all pass. Phase 3, the calm. After the storm comes stillness. The thoughts settle, the emotions pass. What remains is clarity. A quiet voice from within, your inner self, the part of you that's been waiting patiently to be heard. It's in this calm that you find answers to questions you didn't even know you were asking. It's where you rediscover your values, your purpose, and your direction. I used to fear being alone. I thought it meant something was wrong with me. But over time, I've learned that solitude isn't a punishment, it's a gift. It's the only space where I can recharge, reflect, and reconnect with who I truly am. Sitting alone, I found answers to questions I didn't even know I had. I've heard my inner voice, the one that gets drowned out by the noise of daily life. And in those quiet moments, I've discovered something powerful. You don't need the world's validation. You just need to see yourself. And when you do, you realize you've never truly been alone. Maybe you felt misunderstood by those around you. Maybe you've always felt a little weird or different, like you don't quite fit in. Or maybe life has thrown you a curveball, a change, a loss, an experience that made you feel like your world is no longer the same as everyone else's. Whatever the cause, We all carry the ache of loneliness at times. It's a shared experience woven into the fabric of being human. Because loneliness isn't just about being physically alone, it's a feeling of being unseen, the sense that who you are at your core isn't recognized or valued by the world around you. Philosopher Carl Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." And isn't that what makes loneliness so painful? It's not the absence of people, it's the absence of connection, the inability to share the parts of yourself that matter most. But here's the truth, no one can truly see you until you see yourself. Solitude is the doorway to that self-recognition. It's where you witness your thoughts, your fears, your dreams, and begin to accept them all. And when you truly embrace who you are, loneliness doesn't simply vanish, it transforms. It softens into stillness, clarity, and the quiet strength of knowing that you are enough. In that solitude, the fear of being alone melts away, not because someone else finally understands you, but because you no longer need them to. The ache to be seen by others fades the moment you truly see yourself. Remember how we started this conversation, asking if you've ever felt lonely in a crowded room? Well, next time you feel that way, I want you to hold on to this. You don't need someone else to see you. You just need to see yourself. And when you do, you will realize that loneliness was never your enemy. It was your guide. It led you inward, to the parts of yourself you hadn't yet embraced, to your stillness, to your clarity, to your strength. Because the journey isn't about finding someone who understands you. It's about understanding yourself. Thank you so much for watching. That's everything I wanted to share today about how to enjoy solitude and transform it into a source of inner strength. I hope this video gave you a new perspective on being alone. If there's any topics you'd like me to cover in the future videos, or if there's anything on your mind that you'd like to discuss, let me know in the comment. I'm always open to meaningful conversations, and your thoughts and ideas inspire me to keep creating. Until next time, stay empowered and strong. I'll see you in my next videos. Bye.